watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire wrestling community. And I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
And together we are...
Rope Break.
How's every single one of you family? Another Wednesday night wars. Jean-Paul and I, of course, have to watch both shows. We gotta be so excited about, go home show for AEW and this NXT Fallout show from what it was, Halloween Havoc. So, Jean-Paul, a little bit of new storylines developing, in both shows, like the one closing for what is going to be a pay-per-view, and this one kind of like opening up new storylines for what is going to be like, in a few weeks, another takeover.
Yeah, they're kind of building, we said maybe War Games. We don't know what they're going to do, if that's what they're really going to do, but there is some build. So it was essentially a slow week. It's not going to be like what AEW should be, which would be a really hot show going into the pay-per-view. This was kind of slow. Like, okay, we had Halloween Havoc, let's kind of pick up the pieces from that and, start building new feuds and new storylines. And they did that, but with all that being done, it was kind of a more slow, boring week. Like I texted you, there's no big heavy hitters, and that's the problem with NXT. I feel the past couple weeks, there's no Champ and Finn Balor. There's not really any Adam Cole.
No,
Eric Carrion's done. We see Io at the pay per view, but then that's it. And there's no like real studs on the show, and that's unfortunate.
There's no stallions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
so, before we start, Jean-Paul, don't forget, family, like usual, watch Monday Night Raw Review with Jean-Paul Egg, best booker in the whole entire business. He covers every single thing that, like, Alexa Bliss kind of like new character, like all scary, wacky, like Halloween, like kind of looking like girl, and also like Randy Orton going against the Fiend or McIntyre or both, and also like more build-up for what is going to be the Survivor Series. So please don't forget to check that out. Jean-Paul gives you every single thing, every move, every like storyline, and the possible outcome. So check that out. So Paul, let's go out now to like the beginning of the show, and that is Ember Moon and Dakota Kai. This match was good. Like kind of like a winner that I wasn't expecting that was gonna like be the winner, like I said, because like Ember Moon just came back, like with all the hype. Like we were all thinking that it was going to be Bo Dallas, and now it's not Ember Moon. So like, he's like, want to take the women's division back because I was like NXT Women's Champion. No, the Dakota Kai gets in the way, and actually, like I said, a little surprised for what the outcome of this, Jean-Paul.
Yeah, it was good. The only problem I really had with it was there's the spots there where Dakota Kai was on the outside, and then Ember Moon is like, oh, let me do a dive, and she knocked her into the barricade. She goes back in, is like, let me do another dive. Dakota moved out of the way. Then she hit the barricade, and then that was like the break spot. They were both down to go to commercial. But it's like this woman just came back from this injury. Like, why? I mean, she wanted to do it, but it's like, tell her, Ember, you just blew out your knee, your ACL, whatever it was. Why are you doing these stupid fucking dives? Just wrestle in the ring, be legit. The only high risk thing she should be doing is the Eclipse.
Yes.
I do like
the one that like the code breaker that she does.
Yeah, that's fine. But I mean, like, what are you doing these suicide just for a break spot? You know what I mean? Just like, I don't know. Just
well, is it she hasn't learned the lesson yet? Like she's still like saying that like she's chasing the 24/7.
Yeah, it's like you don't less is more, especially if the less means prolonging your career. But no, The winner I don't mind because Ember Moon came back with all the the fanfare, everybody was going crazy, but all the work Dakota Kai put in, you don't want to see her just be like, oh yeah, thanks for all that good couple months, but Ember's back, so screw you. Let Dakota get the win and let her kind of be a factor in this thing. I keep saying it, only one title for all these women to fight for is they need something else. We saw Impact, they have the women's tag champs. Those belts are useless on Monday Night Raw. Bring them to NXT. Then at least you can have these women fight for something, because I feel like they don't really know what to do besides, which we'll get to in a minute, Rhea and Io. With the rest of the women, they're all just kind of fighting, but it's, they win, they lose, but they're not really gaining anything.
That's a big cry that we've been having for the last couple of months. Like, hey, give these women something else to fight for. You know what will be like, besides like the tag championships, maybe they will introduce like another belt. See, that will be like very like new.
Oh, well, that would be a first to do like a mid card.
Yeah, like that would be. That's what I mean. They should do something like that. Why? Because like it will be something that maybe like Dakota Kai could be the champion. Or maybe like even like an Ember Moon, because like with this loss, because of course she lost, that we said, and like Raquel Gonzalez was part of the loss. Like she's still Dakota Kai's insurance policy, or like the changing factor right there. So like. She pretty much, like, Dakota Kai got the win. She did, like, a spot like the Dakota Kai kick, I think it is. Like,
she calls it the go to kick.
The go to kick, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Or, well, the go to sleep. Well,
yeah.
I don't know, that's how you like. you're right. Like these women, like they don't have anything else if they're not involved in the championship feud, and that's the one thing I don't like because there's so many talented women, and they could easily, like you said, either like bring the tag belts or at least for me bring another title. You know, like the North American Championship.
Yeah,
like
to kind of jump ahead a little bit, we saw, you know, because Raquel was out there obviously with Dakota, and then later on when Xia Li, she got another letter, and we'll just talk about it now. She's like, oh, I need a match with Raquel, and William Regal was like, okay, you know, next week. So next week we'll probably get that.
Yes.
Is this leading to something we're going to see maybe Ember Moon with team up with Xia Li to go against these two? And if that's the case, I'm not going to say that'll be a bad match, but it's that just is like, we really don't know what to do with these women. So. For
example, like, are you really sure that you want to face Raquel Gonzalez? Yeah, Mr. Regal. She dishonored me, so I need a match. So we'll see.
That's what I mean. So I could clearly see a tag thing, but if that's what they do, I think it's just because they want to feature these women, but they have they are not fighting for anything.
Yeah, they don't have really, you know, anything like that like goes for them, but like good match, and like I don't know, like with Ember Moon, I don't know what the deal is gonna be. So like it's interesting to see that like they're pushing Dakota Kai a little bit, you know, rightfully so, because remember she's good, you know, she deserves a better chance, but I don't know if that was the right decision, at least for me. We'll see what they do to convince me that was the right decision. So Jean Paul, let's move on to like the next match, Kushida against Cameron Grimes. This was good too. You know, these two guys are like extremely talented, and Cameron Grimes, like, you know, I like the fact that like he's a heel, but like also like he's a funny heel. You know, with like the stuff that he does, how like he's still kind of coming out of like the Halloween Havoc match, the Haunted House. So like he still has some like side effects of that, Jean Paul. So like you could clearly see that he's not 100%, meaning like in storyline. And Kushida, like, hey, he's having the best run in NXT so far. So every time he fights, every time he wins.
Yeah, this match was good. Kushida looked good. But yeah, and you said they keep playing off the thing where he's scared of everything, everybody. And you know, the match kind of broke down, and that's really what caused him to lose this match. Really good by Kushida. Yeah. I love his offense. Cameron Grimes is, you know, he's one of my favorites since he debuted in NXT. And, you know, these guys have had a couple matches before, so this isn't anything new, groundbreaking. But I like when the ref took the bump, and then the other ref came out. And then it was like, that was the zombie ref from last week, or the ref who was like, you know, done up like a zombie. So he was like, oh my God, freaking out and everything. And then that allowed, you know, Kushida to get the win. And you know, it's the right winner. You know, Kushida needs to win. But with Cameron Grimes, the whole, like, I feel like every time this guy gets a little bit of momentum, he always like runs into something stupid or something, whatever. Like he had momentum. Then it was the thing with Damian Priest. Then he got knocked down a couple pegs. And then it was like, oh, yeah, you know, stuff with Balor. Then he got knocked down. Well, I think the Balor thing came first. But anyway, it's like, and now here, he got a little momentum, but now he's scared of zombies and shit that clearly isn't real. And they could have, you know, if you wanted to do the zombies, you could have did something where, you know, he had the match with Loomis, but then as like he's about to get eaten by zombies, he wakes up and Regal's like, dude, you like hit your head and like you got knocked out. Like, are you good? Your match? You know, we have to postpone your match to next week. And then they could have did him and Dexter Loomis in a normal match this week. So you could have did your little zombie thing, but to try to have that on TV and portray it's like real, I'm just like, that's
kind of like, but I like the fact that like he does the favor, you know, because like he puts the good match, he puts the talent, and I want you to tell me, what did you say about Big Joseph calling the Spanish Fly right there? And I remember like when
because he hits that like weird, it's like a power slam, but he does like somehow an extra
spin like the 360. Yes, it's not a Spanish Fly, but like Big Joseph called it Spanish Fly, and Jean Paul is like, really Big Joseph, like,
I was like,
can I live? You know, like, yeah, it's true. But like, the one thing, like I said, Cameron Grimes is good enough to do the favor, meaning like he plays the storyline, he gives you the talent, it's a good match, but in the end, while you're pushing forward, the guy that you want to like make main event is Kushida. And it's good, but like he put the armbar like it was good, and then he made him tap, and then he rolled out of the ring. He was still like, oh, the zombies, but and then the arm, at least he was like, oh, I'm in pain, but like I'm still thinking of the zombies. So that was good. And Kushida, like, I really want him to go against Johnny Gargano. That will be good for, like, you know, the North American, or even like Finn Balor, if Finn Balor ever comes back, Jean Paul, because of course the jaw is still done. But we'll see. That's what I want to see, because Kushida deserves at least championship gold. You know?
Oh, I would love to see any of those two matches. I think either of them would be, you know, great matches.
I feel Gargano and Kushida will be even better than stuff with Priest, the stuff with Ciampa. You know, these two guys can give us like something a little bit of the caliber of what we saw with Ilja, Dragunov, and Walter, but in a different scale, meaning different wrestling styles. So let's go, Jean-Paul, to the next one, and that is like the next segment is Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. These guys, like, they still like going against Ever Rice. I don't know why they still do that. Is it interesting? Not at all. But like,
well, especially here tonight.
Something else.
Yeah, especially here tonight. That wasn't even the focus. They could have sent them out against you and me. Like who their opponents were. Who their opponents were, it didn't matter because Pat McAfee and everybody, they just rolled up. Which you see the split screen there where they come out of the car. And how is that? Like, imagine if you're having a match and somebody pulls up in the parking lot and the camera team is like, yeah, let's just see this random car in the parking lot. Screw your match.
Oh, yeah, like,
shouldn't it have been that they are, like, walking down the ramp and then the cameras are, like, scrambling? Like, wait, who the hell is this? Instead of, like, let's go to picture-in-picture. Screw your match. I'm like, try to make it a little bit that it doesn't seem planned. That there's going to be a car pulling up, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, like give me a little bit more of a story rather than just like this, I agree with you. I didn't like that at all. And also, like, right away, like, the focus is this guy's, like, the new faction that is, like, Pete Dunne and his Only Lorcan and Danny Burch and, of course, Pat McAfee. And then they start attacking all four members of the guys that were in the ring. And then Pat McAfee actually grabbed the camera, and he's like, let's film. So like, they're acting like the Undisputed Era. How like the Undisputed Era debuted it like 3 years ago. Pretty much that. So like, I do like this. Like I said, like to me, this is already going to be the feud for War Games. I'm giving you that because remember, four-member faction against another four-member faction. What's the best way to finish a feud like this? War Games. I have no other way.
Definitely.
And then they took a picture, a really nice pictures of all of them. There you go. Pete Dunne. I feel so bad for Pete Dunne because he got momentum in NXT UK. He's legit. Maybe like a championship feud with like Walter or something. No, come here and then be a part of like a faction that has no name and is on NXT.
I think they kind of have a name. I forget what they called them. It's the somethings of NXT. I forget. They did have a name though, or they just started calling it something.
Like I guess like the dark like era of NXT.
The something horses or whatever. Not the stallions, but something of NXT. Yeah. But no, Pat McAfee cut a good promo. He's like, oh yeah, Undisputed Era, they reign supreme. But now it's our turn, and he was putting them over for all their accomplishments and everything. But as he's doing it, he's also like being like, yeah, but they're shitty, they're bullshit. And then he explains why they all have heat. How he said, oh, NXT Takeover 30, I lost, but he could have shook my hand. He didn't do it. So 31.
Legit magic, nobody said anything.
Yeah, he's like 31. I laid him out. And then the one thing I do like, though, because you and I both said, and what you just touched on with Pete Dunne, at least they did the story with Pete Dunne. How it's like, hey, Roderick Strong turned on me. We were supposed to win I think they were supposed to win the Dusty Classic. They were in the finals. And he's like, oh, this is, he turned on me. It's bullshit. And he's like, now I realize, you got to figure out who you can really trust. So he must think that that's Pat McAfee, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch. And then obviously they said the same thing. Oh, we were disrespected by the Undisputed Era. We were just afterthoughts because it was ever since they became popular, NXT just branded themselves around them instead of everyone else. So it was a really good promo. And they're like, should we hang this banner to honor them? I was going to do it, but I don't know. After we talk about it, I don't know if we want to do it. So they're like, no. They threw it in the trash can, lit on fire. I thought this was the best part of the show, and that's unfortunate because, it's like, look at all the matches we got, and it's like, oh, that's the best part. The only thing
I can tell you, like, it looks like in the ring is like a little cold, and they're getting a little heat from like the fire and everything, and like hopefully like I can get some because it's a little colder already in Pennsylvania, so like
they look like the homeless guys in Rocky. He's walking by talking to him.
Yes, and then the only thing I gotta say, you told the whole story beautifully, but like really, so Pete Dunne, it took you 3 years to like be like, oh, so you betray me?
Well, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure if Ridge Holland's leg wasn't broke, that would be him, and Pete Dunne would be in it. This is a Band-Aid. This is just, okay, probably Pete Dunne, you're going to be here till War Games when whoever wins, loses, whatever. Then after that, if you want to go back to NXT UK, you can. Just do us this favor. We made you the longest reigning NXT UK champion, like do us a little favor here. So he's probably like, okay, he just shrugged. He did the
and then also like, as they were leaving, like Pat McAfee's like, hey, let's still like talking where like the new faction, forget the Undisputed Era, they suck. So Killian Dane goes and tries to attack all of them. And he starts with Pat McAfee, but then of course, like, 4 against 1, the odds are going to be like favoring like the 4 guys. So they actually bust him open and everything. So that was cool. I mean, like, they sent a statement by taking out Killian Dane, which is good. I really like that. So I think that, like you said, it was the best part of the show, just because, like, I think War Games is going to be around these 4 guys. This 4 against the Undisputed Era. So it's a cool story, but like you said, you said it even like 2 weeks ago. I would have much rather seen Rich Holland, but of course he's done. We don't know when he's gonna come back, so they had to get another guy. Hey, Pete Dunne is on hand. Let's do it. Why not? So Jean Paul, let's go to like the 2-time North American champion, and that is Johnny Gargano. Like, he was playing with somebody, and he was like, spinning the wheel, and he's like, oh, you thought I'm afraid of that? Nah, I'm legit. And now I'm the 2-time North American champion. I have all the championships. I'm good. So then we've discovered that he's still hanging out with the dead, with the guy that helped him out to win the championship. We still don't know who that is, but I goes, cool. Yeah, right there. And he's like, "It's your turn." Or the guy called him at the beginning. Remember? He's like,
they parodied like the Scream movies, or he's like, oh, "What are you wearing?" and all that shit. Yeah, no. So I mean, that was funny, and this is okay, but I want to see. The main point of it was, he said, "Hey, I'm not gonna have a short title reign. It's not gonna be bullshit. You guys, Johnny Gargano's gonna lose in his first defense." He's like, "No, fuck that. Next week, title defense, I'm beating somebody." So I'm going to see who that is. And I hope we can maybe get this person unmasked. Like, Halloween's over, unless this guy's going to be wearing the gobbledygooker, let's unmask him and let's see who it is. Cause I don't want to be seeing the Halloween dress up and stuff anymore. So let's see him and let's. Absolutely. I
don't really have an idea who could be.
No, neither do I. Yeah, honestly.
Maybe Bo Dallas. There you go. I'm going to tell you Bo Dallas, because they keep pulling, or maybe Andrade. That would be cool.
That would be so bullshit.
Yeah, it would be like, no. 31, so happy birthday, or feliz cumpleaños, Mr. Cien Almas, or like Andrade, because, Cien Almas, he lost that. So, Jean Paul, let's talk a little bit about Io Shirai calling out Rhea Ripley. You told me, like, that's bullshit, and I agree with you. Because, like, the champ should not be calling, upon, a possible #1 contender. Like, Io should be, I beat everybody, I'm good. I'm waiting for whoever's next.
Unless Rhea was a heel, or the only because she didn't beat Rhea 1-on-1, I guess technically, but she beat her in a triple threat, so it's like, okay, whatever. The only person she should be calling out is Toni Storm. Yeah, but it's too early for that, because Toni was the one who beat her in the Mae Young Classic Finals, so that should be the only person she calls out, because it's like, oh, I want to redeem myself as like a personal thing. As like, hey, this isn't about the belt. This is about me beating you. Maybe don't even have it be for the belt. And then if you want Toni to beat her again, then Toni says, give me the title shot. Then you have Io beat her, and so she retains. But to call out another babyface, especially with that would be like calling out Roman Reigns or John Cena in the height of their babyface bullshit. Like, you really want to do that? You really want to lose? Yes. Is that what you're asking for? Because I don't see Rhea losing this thing. Because I know they want the belt back on her, but I mean, if Io loses, that would suck, and it would make Io look like an idiot for calling her out. But if she does lose, I don't know what to do with her, because I would say main roster,
Royal Rumble time.
Look how shitty.
I don't want that.
Look how shitty the main roster is, though.
I don't want that, because Io will look, she'll be irrelevant from the moment that, like, she comes out.
The best thing to do, which, like, for everybody involved, would be Rhea Ripley to the main roster, because Vince will use her legit. He won't use Io, but NXT will use Io legit. So Io stays, Rhea gets promoted.
Rhea loses, and then bomb. That's gonna sound good. Thank you for everything. That's it. Io said, like, I'm not afraid of nightmares.
That line was legit,
and I like that. But then Rhea responded, and it's like, hey, everybody's afraid of something. So it's like, and I know you're
main
afraid
roster.
The main roster, and no, you're afraid of losing your title and then going to the main roster. So that's absolutely bad. So it was a good promo, but like you said, I don't like to see this matchup, because everything points out. Everything is just like saying, Joe Biden is not Joe Biden. Everything is pointing out Rhea Ripley becoming the new NXT Women's Champion, and I don't want to see that. I just feel so bad. I would much rather see Candice win the championship and not Rhea. I'm just saying, because she even said, I'm going to finish this year the same way as I finished 2019. How? As an NXT Women's Champion. So hopefully not. So, Jean Paul, let's go to the next matchup, and that's Toni Storm against Shotzi Blackheart. This match, like you said, neither one of the two women are like in-ring generals. I mean, Toni Storm is a really great wrestler. Shotzi is getting to that level, but like she had a botch at the beginning of the match. I don't know like what happened there, but she was trying to do like I think like a scissors. She was trying to like Hurricane or something, but completely botched. So Botch Mania, there you go. You have a brand new one right there for you. So tell me a little bit about this match, Paul. No, I'll tell you towards the end I didn't like something, but I'll go towards the end. I want to hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was the whole, Shotzi was like, oh, I picked her because I got to host Halloween Havoc, so I got to choose my opponent.
Mr. Regal. Yeah,
and she's like, oh, I wanted to choose Tony. I have respect for her. Then Tony had a promo, and it was kind of like, oh, yeah, it was a little bit cocky and stuff. So then, and I guess Shotzi like couldn't find her tank or something, and then she was blaming Tony. So then the match started out hot, and they were really going after each other, but. To touch on what I said earlier to you about, like, none of them the match wasn't like that great. I mean, it was exciting, I guess you could say, lots of spots, but none of them, like you said, with Shotzi, they're both kind of like, they need someone to lead, I think, a little bit, because Tony's still very young, and Shotzi's not been in the business super long and is young as well, so, like, they don't really have that veteran presence to be like, okay, like, let's do this, let's do that. It was kind of just, like, all over the place, but I didn't like how the ending went. I didn't like how it was just like, oh, we had to see Candace on the screen. And then, all that with the tank. And then she's like, oh, yeah, I have your tank right here. And then she ran it over. And then, and I don't even think did she hit the Storm Zero?
No, she did not hit the Storm Zero.
Yeah, right? I was going to say, I think.
Counter. No, and then she did just like a pinning combination. She did like a backslide, and then she made it all the way to with bridge.
Yeah, because she was distracted, and it was just like a bullshit pin.
I did situation, and then Tony, like you said, took advantage. No Storm Zero, but like just pins on Shotzi like that. Yes, and I didn't like that either. So like I said, this was like not too great, and like to see just Candice going into like, oh yeah, like, well, remember what you did for me because of Shotzi. Like Io was able to retain the championship, so she went with like a four-wheeler. Right? Is that what it was, Jean-Paul? Like
something we couldn't really see like what the whole vehicle was, but yeah, she ran over that tank, and commentary was trying to get it over. That's like, oh, her cousin or her brother or somebody is like in the military, so that's why she has the whole like helmet and the tank thing to honor them. I mean, that's fine, but like you try to sell that 5 minutes before the tank gets destroyed, I'm not going to care. You know what I mean? If that would have been like her story, like Lacey Evans, like, oh, a military background, and you were selling that from the beginning, then maybe I'd care. But like we see her tank get destroyed, and she cries and screams, and it's like we're supposed to care.
And you know what I mean? Like we're supposed to. This is the worst part because remember, what did we say about Toni Storm when she first like got the win over Ilja? Oh, like she's probably heel, right? We were saying like, oh, she has a new attitude. She's more. She even said, I'm more calculated. I want to just win. I don't care. And look, what do we see right here? She cared about what was going on with Shotzi. It would have been a lot better, Jean-Paul, like Shotzi's like that, and Tony goes, hey, are you okay? And boom, hits the Storm Zero. Boom. Yeah. Right there. Because Toni Storm is what now? Another baby face. And don't we need more heels? Because outside of like Dakota Kai and Candice, who else is heel? Ilja maybe? But that's it. So I didn't like this at all. I was waiting for a different version of Tony.
Yeah, and I thought you were going to turn Xia Li heel, maybe do something there, bring back Mercedes Martinez, and we didn't see either of those things. So, yeah, and then now Toni Storm being this baby face, and it's like, yeah, they really need to kind of shake up the women's division here.
Yeah, like I said to you, it's not great at all. And, and this segment was even worse, Jean-Paul. Like the classes with Timothy Thatcher. This is like a... Like you said, and I've said this to you, we have this conversation, I think, like 3 hours before like one of the recordings we did. This guy cannot win a main event match. He might be a great wrestler, but like these promos are absolutely dragging for me.
Yeah, and it would be fine to do. I don't understand what the whole point of these are. They do them, and it's like it should be that Thatcher stretches these dudes like Stretch Armstrong, and he like rips them apart and leaves them there. And then, after he, like, stretches these guys and they tap out and they're crying, screaming for bloody murder, he should grab a mic and be like Johnny Gargano or Finn Balor or whoever. Call somebody out and be like, hey, like, if you want to step in the ring, I'll do the same to you. Instead, they have these fucking job guys nobody cares about. They get the upper hand and they beat up Timothy Thatcher. How does that look? The only way to fix this is next week you book these two jabronis in a handicap match and you have Thatcher stretch them both. And I'm talking stretch them, kick their ass in like 5 minutes. Yeah. Both guys are turned into pretzels and they're crying.
Because even one of them step out and like really like make him like Thatcher like retrieve. And that was Anthony Green.
Yeah, that was the guy from last week. And that, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And it was like people were shitting on that segment because it's like, why is this guy getting the upper hand? And then tonight we see it again. So next week you got to redeem it, because otherwise Thatcher looks like an idiot. He looks like a clown.
Yeah, and again, like, there's a lot of people that love Timothy Thatcher, like he's working like MLW, but like this is just bad. Because every time that he's got a main event, feud over like with like that,
and that I would, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. It's nothing against him; it's the booking.
Oh yeah, he's a booking. Well, like I said, a guy like that, like a Chris Benoit on wrestling nowadays is like really hard to book, at least in WWE, because a guy that has no character, has no charisma.
But see, the thing is, he might not look as jacked, but I would say he has more charisma and better mic skills than Benoit for sure.
Well, yeah, there you go. But like you know what I mean, like a guy like can not even win like a match against like a Damian Priest, a guy like even Cameron Grimes. Like it gets to that point that like, what do you do with the guy? And you got to put it in this kind of feuds. They're like, okay, like how to submit people, but is that help you out to win matches? I don't know. So and Jean Paul, we will get this next week. Like you said, Johnny Gargano defending the North American Championship against Dad, or question mark. We'll see who that is. Hopefully for me it's Andrade. Now people that keep teasing like it's gonna be somebody that different, and like I said, Andrade supposedly doesn't belong to any brand on Raw or SmackDown. So I'm sorry, we'll see what happens on that. And we're gonna get the tag team championship match, the rematch with like Breezango and Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. This is gonna be a squash. To me, I'm already spoiling that for you. It's gonna be a squash because there's no way that Breezango are getting those titles ever again. No, that's what it is, Jean Paul. So let's talk about the main event. And the main event is like your boy, the Velveteen Dream. No, it's not her boy. It's anybody's boy. That's the Velveteen Dream going against Tommaso Ciampa, like you said.
Hopefully nobody is his boy either.
Oh, well, yeah, well, that's why he keeps losing, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So, like, this match was, like, more of the same that we've seen before. So, for me, I wasn't even interested in this feud. Tommaso Ciampa is very stale at the moment. It's not because of him. It's just like you said. Many things changed, and a lot of guys went through the main roster. Like you said, Jacoby, Keith Lee, Karen is injured. So, a lot of things has changed, and Ciampa has not been able to, like, fit in any spot. And now it's just when this feud that, like, doesn't mean anything, and you're not fighting for really anything.
No.
So, I just don't like this.
And for Ciampa, to go back with the thing with him losing to Karrion really quick, I thought was good because he was away for a while. He came back. He was pissed off. He had the new attitude. He was beating people up in 2-3 minutes. The thing with Jake Atlas and everything, and it was good. And then he got into this with Kushida and the Dream, which he didn't fit into at all. It didn't make any sense. It should have just been like Kushida beats up Velveteen Dream, moves on to what he was doing. And then you could have just had Tommaso Ciampa just keep beating up job guys, and then he could go after somebody, or maybe even he could have been the fourth man instead of
Pete Dunne.
Yeah, because then he and then maybe you have him lay out McAfee. Let's say they lose War Games or something, then he lays out McAfee and he's like, "Screw you!" And then him and McAfee have a match, because that would be a good match, and it could be because Ciampa wants to be in charge or something. Yeah. Who knows? You could have played something off of that, but I feel like, Ciampa is lost right now, even though I did like what they were doing with him, but right now he feels lost, because a feud with the Velveteen Dream is just, that don't lead to anything. Like, this is
because of all the backlash also the Velveteen Dream has. So, again, when the guy's coming out, it's worse than Biden and Trump. It's like, get him out, get him fired, get this guy, like you said, like, oh, he's like a pedophile, get him out. Nobody's invested in this. So everybody's changing the channel when the guy is out. So what are you going to do? When you're feuding with the guy, you get drowned.
Yeah, and the only thing, I'm going to be honest, the only thing people really liked Velveteen Dream for was the gimmick. Like, to be honest, you see this guy in the ring, and he's awkward as fuck. He moves like he's being electrocuted, and he's just really awkward. People say they don't. No. Yeah, people say they don't like working with him, and that was before the allegations. They say he's just really awkward to work with in the ring. People don't like him, and now that people don't like his gimmick because it's a sexualized gimmick acting like Prince, and then these allegations, so now people really don't like it. Yeah. And so now I feel like he has no upside. Yeah, he's just get his ass kicked, fairy tale ending, done, and that's the way it should be. And hopefully Ciampa moves on. Now you can do Ciampa and Kushida. That would be something legit to see, and actually do a program, not just one match and then one guy moves on and the other guy's like, do a legit program, 3 or so matches. And the Velveteen Dream, what's next for him? Well, I don't really care. So, and there's that.
It is really difficult, like you said, as a booker, and you get it from Jean Paul, that is the best booker. Like what do you do with the Velveteen Dream? Is like, for me, get him away from like a long time. Maybe by SummerSlam, just like then you can bring him back, and then to see like hopefully people will forget about what happened.
You know what I would do? I would take him off TV until there's crowds. Not first show with crowd, but when there's legit crowd. Yeah, and if the crowds cheer him, okay. If they boo the shit out of him, be like, dude, I'm sorry, future endeavored.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I can't know.
Somewhere else. Yeah, it is true. It is true. But like this match, like you said, it was pretty decent. Again, Ciampa is a good wrestler. The Velveteen Dream, like, has never had a really terrible match. He's somewhat skilled. I wouldn't say somewhat. He's very skilled. Like you said, like, because of everybody having this heat with him, or like bad vibe, it makes it really hard for anybody to like work with the guy. But like, I like how like he did the Randy Orton thing, the DDT. Like the Widow's Belt is pretty much the same thing.
Oh yeah, that draping DDT. Yeah, vintage Randy Orton. You got to call it like Michael Cole.
Yeah, you got a vintage Randy Orton. Thank you. Yeah, and then of course, like the fairy tale ending, and Dan and Ciampa wins. So I mean, that'll close out NXT for us. New storylines, new feuds. Like you said, the cry for everybody's like this show needs Finn Balor. The champion needs to come back. I don't know if they will make the decision by next week, but if his night's going to take a little longer, they need to like give us a new champion. Because a show with no champion, like, is getting hard to watch. And Halloween Havoc, it was like, hey, a pass because they had other stuff going on. But, like, are they going to have any other stuff every single week?
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. Because it's gonna reach the point where people who are, like, they're not super invested, they just like watching stuff, wrestling and all that, they might flip over to TNT after a while. And I'm not saying that it's going to be a better show, but it might be like, hey, where's the champ? Like at least TNT, you see Moxley almost.
At least you see John Moxley with Eddie Kingston. Yeah, they have a face-to-face. Jean Paul will be covering, and we will be talking about that because we have Full Gear on Saturday. So we're going to be talking about every single thing like that. So family, then this wraps it up, Jean Paul. So like remind everybody where they can find us.
Well, you can find us in the social media world on Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, the original Rope Break on Instagram, the original Rope Break on YouTube, and of course, alleverythingentertainment.com.
And before we just go, I just want to say in the name of Jean Paul and myself, thank you for all the subscriptions, for all comments, for all all this wave of love. Like wave of love, like the Dottie will say. So a wave of love that this crowd has given us. So thank you so very much, family. And Jean Paul will be back with you guys for AEW Dynamite, and Jean Paul and myself will be back for NXT UK to Fallout show, but like what happened with Walter and Ilja Dragunov. So
the best show in professional wrestling.
It's true, 5-star match of Dave Meltzer gave it Jean Paul. One more thing that we had to say, and that is